Good evening. We're now joined by Columbia student athletes Cecilia Collins and Susie Raffew, along with head coach Megan Griffith. We will start with some opening comments from Coach Griffith and then move on to questions from the media. Please make sure to identify yourself and your media organization when asking a question. Coach Griffith, would you please make an opening statement?
Yeah, well, I thought Penn played great tonight. I told Mike that. I was like, you guys are playing great right now. I think, they clearly wanted to speed us up and be physical with us. And, it's like, this is March, right? This is why you play. And for them to get into this tournament, was a big deal, I think, for them with, like, the adversity they faced this year. And like I said, credit to them for getting to this point and giving us their best. Conversely, in our locker room, I don't think we played our best, but that's honestly what you're going to get, again, in these games. And, you'll hear more from them, but, we just got to move on to the next thing at this point. And, when you don't play well and you win ugly games, you're a great team. So that's the thing I said to them. I'm like, it doesn't discredit who we are or what we do, but if you can win an ugly game, that's a good sign, but I would really like not to play an ugly game.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open it up to questions for the Columbia student athletes only. Questions, right in front.
Hey everybody, Jen Hadfield with the Next. Susie, for you, just curious, 16 and 10 from you. What was kind of your mindset coming in? Was that, were the coaches saying, like, we think you're going to have a favorable matchup, or like, how did you kind of approach your role in your matchup tonight?
Yeah, I think we had a good week of prep, and like we've played Penn twice before, so this being the third time, so we know our game plan going into that, and part of that was going inside to begin with, but like having both an inside and outside attack, so that's what we were able to do today.
And then one real quick for Cece, you and Kitty, at times have talked about how you guys have to make sure you like stay locked in even when shots aren't falling, and I'm kind of curious what you thought the response from the team was after that first quarter, shots weren't falling, or even at halftime.
Yeah, I think Kitty did a good job, leading us. I definitely have to be better. I think I kind of lost my head a little bit there in the first quarter, first half especially. But, yeah.
Yes, you did.
And
Confirmed.
So when shots aren't falling, like, we can't let that get to our heads. But we have a great opportunity tomorrow, and I think we keep stressing that in the locker room. And, we're going to be better tomorrow.
Okay, more questions for the student athletes, right here.
Steve Silverman, Ivy Hoops Online, for both of you. You guys got to the line a lot tonight. I think it was 29 times maybe. Penn, I think, was only 8 times. Was that something? You missed a lot of shots, but you got a lot of shots too.
Steve, so, better than our average. I'm just going to let you know. 20 for 29 we'll take, buddy.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. But the question is, was that what you guys wanted? Was that what game plan was work it inside, get to the line, get some free throws?
Yeah, I think Sue said it. We kind of wanted to play inside outside. We thought we'd have some favorable matchups inside in the post, and luckily we drew some fouls. Obviously we want to convert a little bit more of those, but and we want to get some and ones as well. We're trying to focus on that, get the foul and the bucket. So.
Okay, more questions in the back here.
Hi, Nikki Fink, Columbia Daily Spectator. Cece, got a little bit close towards the end there. At the end, it was a little bit choppy. Going forward, the championship game tomorrow, how do you sort of stay focused in those big moments and pull through?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to keeping our heads. We talk a lot about it, but blue heads, and that's got to be the whole game. It can't just be the last 5 minutes of the game. So that's going to be something that we're really putting an emphasis on, especially for tomorrow. We just got to learn from today, and like I said, just be better tomorrow about that.
Any more questions for the student athletes? Okay, back in front to Chen.
Cece, I'll start with you on this one, and then Suze, if you want to chime in. It seemed like there were a lot of possessions where you guys found Susie kind of in tight spaces. Cece, I'm thinking of that one where you posted up and then lobbed it over to Suze, and there really wasn't a lot of space there. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what you think she was doing well to kind of be able to hit her in those tight spots. And Suze, just what you thought about, how your teammates were able to find you.
Yeah, I thought Suze was doing a really good job of finding windows. We knew they were going to change that little forward-to-forward screen, so I just tried to, lob it up to her, and she was doing a great job of just grabbing the ball and going up strong. So definitely want to keep converting on those, but yeah, like I said, next thing, great day tomorrow. So.
Yeah, to go off of that, like CC and the rest of our teammates, like all really great passes, and then those small things we do offensively are like things we've been taught by the coaches. So to be able to like sprinkle them in is good and helpful, and I think that showed today. But again, we're looking to do more of that tomorrow and change it up too.
Okay, any more questions for the student athletes? Thank you. We'll now dismiss the student athletes back to the locker room.
Thank you.
Please shower.
Okay, we'll now open it up to questions for Coach Griffith. Start in front.
Hey, Meg, I'm going to ask you about Susie. Just, what'd you like most from her tonight, and how much do you feel like that kind of opens things up, for you guys to be able to have someone who's your leading scorer outside of kind of the big three, show teams another look in that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes a great team, right, is when you have depth and production from not necessarily the usual suspects. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of attention with Kitty, Cece, Riley, right? And they earned that, for us to have two first-teamers. And Riley was, in my time here, I think ever in Columbia, is the first sophomore as a first-teamer. She's got a ton of respect in this league. And so I would say, to have a Susie, right, we're dangerous at 5 positions, and I think she showed that tonight. Have a Susie step up and, one thing I'm really proud of her for is that she applies coaching pretty quickly. So all week we've been talking about, hey, you're going to be open off of doubles. You're going to be, be ready. And then her offensive rebound and pursuit, working off of bodies. So I just thought she implemented really well. She said it too, but super bright future. I think we're going to see a lot of great things from her in the future.
And just, what was your message, after the first quarter, with the kind of rough start, and then kind of down the stretch, making sure they didn't get too tight?
Yeah, I mean, you're in March. This is anything can happen. We talked about that, and I think, like I said, I've said this before. I think Penn played really, really hard, and just I do think Mike's a good coach. I've always said that. We've got some great coaches in our league, and they have to understand it's not going to be this perfect, exactly how we thought it out game. And I thought that stunned us a little bit because of the games we've had with them in the beginning of the year. So honestly, it was just a little bit of an adjustment period for us to be oh yeah, they came to play. You're the number 1 seed, right? So, and that's a little bit new for us, right? We haven't been in this position before. And I always have to remember we are really quite young, although we only have 4 upperclassmen on a team of 12, right? So just even our bench energy, that's what we were talking a lot about that in the locker room. We have to just mature a little bit tomorrow, and we've seen that from them, but it's time. It's a big girl game, big girl game for championship Saturday, and they'll be ready. I'm very confident. This was almost the best thing that could have happened to us because you don't want to get too high and be oh yeah, here we go, right? They know it's got to be better tomorrow.
More questions for Coach, right over here.
So in the first half, you guys were rebounding really hard, big advantage, especially on the offensive boards.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had 8 or 9 in the first half alone. And then that kind of tapered off in the second half. And it turns out Penn almost, I think maybe either.
We tied.
Yeah. So they ended up, even with you guys on the offensive glass, which has been such a factor for you all season. I'm assuming you weren't happy with that in the second half. And what do you think happened there?
Yeah, I mean, that's on the scout, right? If we're 10th in the nation or top 10 in the nation in rebounding, in offensive rebounding, I think teams are going to try not to let us get offensive rebounds. So, this is what it's funny because all these questions are hey, are you happy, Meg? Yeah, of course I'm not happy, right? But we still won. Let's all remember that. And we have a great opportunity tomorrow. So, yeah, of course, I was expecting Penn to come in. Brooke Suttle, doesn't play much, right? And she came in 4 offensive rebounds. Huge for them, right? So this is, again, what you're seeing. You're seeing people show up in different ways. And, I thought everybody gives Kitty a lot of attention because she's the leading offensive rebounder in our league. And then, Susie, I thought, really benefited from us struggling in the other positions that we usually clean up some. Our bench production wasn't nearly as good as it needed to be tonight. And I think that was a product of us not getting as many offensive rebounds.
You know, we have a question up front.
Gabby Carroll, the Philadelphia Inquirer. You have, the 3 top teams in this league, and you play a competitive game against Penn. You, as a player, played in this league. You've coached in this league for a long time. How do you feel like you've seen the Ivy League grow and become more competitive? Where now you have, 3 teams in the conversation for an at-large. You play a competitive game here.
Yep.
What have you seen? How much has this league grown, even just in the past couple years since you've been coaching here?
Yeah, I mean, even going back to when I was a player, I mean, we weren't even in the top. I don't even know what we were in the RPIs, but probably not a top 100, right? I don't know if we had one team in the top 100. So, in the last few years, and I'm gonna credit Courtney Banghart, who hired me at Princeton at the time, who just completely elevated our league into a different stratosphere with recruiting. And Mike McLaughlin came shortly after her, and he did the same thing. And then so you saw that sort of shift happen in the early 2000s, right? And then I end up taking the Columbia job. Carrie Moore comes to Harvard. You're seeing all this change in our league, and Mike stayed, right? And Carla Berube obviously took the Princeton job, but you're seeing just an influx of great creative minds, and I think that's that are really working hard on the recruiting trail, which I think it's all of that, right? So it's something I'm really proud of. I can probably say that more than anybody here because I'm an alum, and it's great to see. But we need to keep pushing 1 through 8. This can't be a top 3 league, right? I want 1 through 8 to be all in the top 200 of the net. That's really going to help us in the longevity of only having 8 teams when there's super conferences everywhere else.
Any more questions? We have a question back here. Nope, behind you. Thank you.
Hi, Jillian Prunty with the Columbia Daily Spectator. As you've mentioned, this was obviously a tighter game than you guys would have wanted, but now looking forward into tomorrow, either Harvard or Princeton, that's a very tough slate. Last time I got out against Harvard wasn't great for the team, but you beat Princeton. So what are you kind of trying to take away from this game to bring into tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, just so stylistically different, these two teams. I said, playing Penn today was the best simulation of playing Harvard, honestly. And, Princeton, is it going to be a controlled game? There's not going to be a lot of pressure in your face, and, it's just going to be a lot about execution. So, honestly, it was good prep either way for me, in my opinion, and just it exposed us and opened our eyes to just saying, hey, when you're top dog, you got to bring it. Every single day, it's like you got that big target on your back, and that is new territory for us, right? We've always shared this title, and now as being our outright championship in the number 1 seed, let's bring in all of our fans here. We have the most fans here. It's great. We love that. But now what comes with the territory is that responsibility and accountability.
Okay, any more questions? We got one right here.
Rob Brown, Ivy Hoops Online. As you said, Coach, a win, but an ugly win. When you look at as the NCAA committee kind of looks at the nitty gritty and really looks at a close microscope, how do you think this win, does it change your profile at all? Or, hey, it's a win. That's all that matters in March.
I mean, I'm just trying to win tomorrow. So to me, I don't really care about this game. It's like we came here to win the tournament. We didn't come here to try to get an at-large again. We did that last year, and that's great. And I came to win the tournament. My team came to win the tournament. And, somebody asked me that from the ESPN crew yesterday as well. And I said, yeah, of course you're thinking about that. But, that's not what you want your team thinking about, right? You want them to focus on the next thing ahead. So, but it's March. You're seeing upsets literally everywhere. So I think the committee also understands that making it to the championship game, which 2 years ago when we didn't, that was the sting for us, right? So I would just say, we did what they said they wanted us to do. So that would be my response for that. But no, I'm ready to get to the next one. That to me is the most important thing right now, is just focus on winning this thing tomorrow.
Okay, any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.